For time, I have cut this final part of our war tutorial into 2 parts, so this is the beginning of part 3 of our tutorial on war in Europa Universalis 4. I am Thic Borders Gaming, and I do hope you like, comment, and subscribe below if you enjoy this video. And we'll move him. Now, this is not a red line, so I can go through here. And again, this is just a capital fort, so it's not projecting a zone of control. So I can move to here. There was that 5 stack. So we'll look at battles. Now, as I look at this, though, they're at minus 14 now, so they're making that progress on that siege. I do need to be careful of that. So here we have a 6 stack of troops. They're in a Highlands province, and since it's since they're there first, as well as the fact that it is a fort, they're going to defend. But they have no leader. But Athens has a leader. That should show up. So they have a 0-2. I have a 1-1. So I'm going to go ahead and attack just to show what's going to happen here. Okay. So I have more men, but they have a better leader. So as we go, we have different stages. Each stage lasts a certain amount of time. I forget exactly how long it is. Looks like 3 days. So the first stage is fire. In the early game, this stage doesn't matter that much, but we have deployed our troops. I had, let's see, I had 7 infantry and 7 cavalry, and so they're going to try and set up in such a way that we have infantry in the middle, cavalry on the sides, and the opponent has set up the same. And then you can hover over this and see who is firing. So these 2 over here aren't doing anything, but should these fall, they'll fall in and they'll do stuff. We have infantry and cavalry can be in the back row or the front row. Artillery would go usually in the back row with infantry and cavalry in the front row and fight. We have a combat width of 20, so I could field an army up to 20 wide, but and that goes up with different military technology. So if I get to military tech 5, that would go up to 22. Military Tech 6, it would go up to 24, 25 at Military Tech 9, and so on. But since they only have 6 troops, I could field 20, but it still would only have a select number that are actually able to fire. Cavalry can go 2 away from where they are. So you see this one is ahead of this guy, but he can fire over here. But only there. He can fire on these 2. So that does a little bit of damage later on. I'm going to do more damage because I have more people firing. But in each phase, so for these 3 days we are in fire phase, we each roll a die. So I rolled 3, he rolled 2, I think it's 0 to 9. And then I have a better fire general than they do. Their general is a 0 fire, my general is a 1 fire. So I get 1 on the roll, but the terrain, being in Highlands, I being the attacker, I lose 1. Mountains is 2, I think woods is 2 over here, so that's why we want those forts in those specific terrains, right? Because it gives the attacker a -1 or a -2. As we continue on into the shock phase, let's go to shock. We've re-rolled. So now I've rolled a 6, which is great. They're rolling terribly. They've rolled a 1. But their general is better in the shock phase. So my general has a 1 in the shock phase. Theirs is a 2. So now that 1 is over here. I still have the terrain penalty. If I ever were to cross some of these rivers in the simple terrain map mode, or if I were to cross a strait, then that would also produce penalties of I think like 2. Maneuver can help with that. Can't help with terrain though. You can see here we have discipline. Discipline impacts how much damage you can do. You want to have better discipline. Discipline is more important than morale, but it also is harder to get. And then we have morale as the second tier. And then tactics is the third tier. Tactics is dealt with by technology, and tactics is actually incredibly important. But you know, for the most part, if you're the same technology, tactics will be pretty much the same. But right now we have better discipline, 105 to 100, and we have better morale, 2.8 or 2.75 to their 2.71. So I'm going to do a lot more damage. Even if it were even numbers, I would do more damage against them because I have better morale and I have better discipline. But if they rolled a 9 instead of 1, they'd be doing a lot more damage here. This is going to be a very quick fight. And you can see up here in the thing here, I can't retreat, and neither can they, until July 11th. So we have a fire phase, a shock phase, a fire phase, and a shock phase, and then the armies can retreat. If their morale bar, if either side's morale bar gets to 0 before those 12 days are done, then the unit is just gone. The whole army is just gone. That's what I was trying to do by catching Athens over here at the beginning of the fight. Looks like that's going to happen. We call that a stack wipe. If you outnumber them 10 to 1, that just automatically happens. But we have that here. So let's go ahead and finish this battle because we're going to finish it. Fire and shock. Okay. So we got it done before they could retreat, so they have just completely surrendered. Their army is gone. So now I'm on this fort. I can take it. It's going to be a big, long fight because I don't have it blockaded and I don't have the fort level. But they are over here at minus 14, and they're about to get even closer, and I really don't want them to get closer. So I have a couple of options for doing this. I know that 9 of those troops are Wallachia's troops. I have an 11 stack here. So if I were to peace out Wallachia right now, then those 9 troops would go away, and my 11 can beat Byzantium's 8. So if I wanted, I could say, you know what, I don't want that land, just get out of the war, give me some money maybe, and just get out of the war. Alternatively, I could bring this army up here, and when they get there, okay, so there is the wall breach. They got a 14, so that's not good. I could also bring this army down here. If I wanted to, I could leave 1 unit, and then I could bring that army down and really just bring all my men, but I'm not going to. I don't need to, so we have that. Morale and discipline can help a army that has fewer troops than the opponent win. But, so, now, they have a 7% chance of winning the siege in 2 days. So if I let this happen, it's a 7% chance, but it's still a 7% chance they might win, in which case they would become the defender, and I would have to take that back from them. So I have now finished the siege. That gives me 99% war score with Wallachia. You can see that that capital is worth so much. Now, they have a lot of reasons to do this. If I were to wipe their entire army out, this would move to 100% war score, and they would be forced to basically accept anything I wanted as long as I had the war score to do it. There are various things you can do. If you could full annex them, if you could take all of their provinces, which obviously I can't, then you would have the ability to come over here and vassalize them and make them your vassal at the cost of a lot of diplo power, and they would, join future wars. You can get them to transfer your trade power, which if you go here, they are in my node, so that would be, something I might want to do. You can get up to 5 loans or 25 war score worth of gold. In this case, that's 115. That's 5 of their loans. And that's pretty much it, right? I can make them cancel their alliances. If they were rivaled to anyone, I could make them end any kind of rivalry. I think that might be a DLC mechanic, but certainly I can get them to say, you know what, don't be an ally of Byzantium anymore. I could do any of that with taking of land, but I don't want to do that because I didn't say I was going to take land from them. They're not a co-belligerent, and so that increases my aggressive expansion. I don't like that. So my intention is to make sure that Ottomans don't exist at the end of this war, so I don't need to worry about this mechanic. It just increases the truce. Now, when you sign a truce, when you sign a peace deal, you get a 5-year truce, plus I think a month for each war score that you have. So in this case, it'd be a 5 years plus 55 months, and it would establish a truce until the 8th of March of 1458. So I could not attack Wallachia directly again until that truce is over. If I were to add this, then that adds a full year, 1469 or 1459, right? So, you know, things to worry about. If they owned any land that was not a Wallachian core, like, for instance, this one has this grayed out thing, then I could force them to release Transylvania, but that's Hungary, so it's not there. If they had any subjects, like with Byzantium, I could make them cancel Athens if I wanted to. I could make them release people over here if I wanted to. I could make them revoke cores. They have a core here. I say, no, you don't get to have a core there. There's various different things you can do. If you have the war leader, you can concede defeat, and if you do that, there's nothing else that but you get a lot of prestige from that. So there's a whole bunch of different things you can do in a peace deal. I am going to get Wallachia just out of the war for this money, right? Transfer trade power and money and go away. Now it's only 8 troops, and this is extremely important. You can't siege a level 3 fort with 8 troops. You could siege a level 1 fort, you could siege a level 2 fort, but they don't have enough troops to continue the siege. So even though we're only 1 day away, they have to get another troop. They have to get to 9. Right, okay, so here, regiments needed 9. They only have 8. So even though it's 1 day away from the siege stick, they can't progress because they don't have enough men, which means I can just wait patiently and get everyone in place, and I can attack. Right? Now, this leader is no longer in hostile territory. This nation is now out of the war, so they're at peace with me, so I can move him directly down. And so now we have 2 leaders. We have a 4-2-1-1, and we have a 1-1-2-0. I'm going to move them both in on these 8 troops. This army is black flagged. If Byzantium tried to come up here, they wouldn't fight. This black flag says, hey, I'm not there. We're in exile. We're moving to a safer land. We cannot engage in combat. I have to move them to either my land, or if I had a vassal's land, in order to do that. If I could move them directly to a land occupied by Byzantium, that would also work, and they would immediately start unsieging this. I can't do that because there's things in the way. If I got them on transports, that would also get that done. But we're going to just kind of hang out. We're going to move them down here. And as soon as they arrive, they will unblack flag. So, these guys got here first. And so, right now, that general would be going. But once this guy gets here, then I would have 2 generals, which I might not be able to show you. The battle's over before I got there. I would have had 2 generals. The best general, I think the best general applies to all traits, but it's possible that it's the best trait, right? So a different general might go. I don't know for sure. But the best general applies if you have more than 1 general. And so that would also work, right? If Wallachia had been there, their general, that 333, would have mattered over Byzantium's general. So now I'm going to take my troops and I'm going to move over here. They have a level 3, so I know I need 9 units at full strength. I need 9,000 men. Right now, that means I need all of these, right? But once they reinforce, I might be able to pull a couple off if I wanted to. Usually it's a good rule of thumb to have at least one more than you need, just for safekeeping. And I'm going to move the others over here, because I am now at war with only Byzantium and their vassal. And we're going to make short work of them. Now, Constantinople is now blockaded, so we don't lose that modifier. We're at minus 49. If I pull my fleet into port, now it's not blockaded, they're at a minus 2. If they pull their fleet out, which they have done so, now I'm blockaded, minus 63, and I couldn't move here directly. If I tried to move here, I would have to go around, because their navy is blocking that strait. If we win this battle, I hope we win. We're not going to win. Okay! Oh, that was fun. We don't need to move across the strait anyway, but if I had won that battle, then I would be able to move directly across. Now I have this stack I'm going to move into Athens. I'm going to let this guy take care of this. You need 1. So I'm going to move him. Okay, so they've got this navy here. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Now I could move directly, for what that's worth. And now, of course, I have that blockade back up, so it goes. But they've moved that navy in, so I couldn't move directly. I have to now go here. You'll notice that at about halfway, this little lock comes on. Means I'm locked into that movement. I've kind of passed the point of no return. I have to go ahead and do that. Now, this has no fort. We still can see the siege thing. I need only 1 unit if there's no fort. And I have a 100% chance as soon as this siege tick is over, it'll be done. That will be complete. Athens has only a level 1 fort. They didn't build a fort there, so that needs 3 units. So if I wanted, I could move 3. I'm going to keep that 4th just for safekeeping over here. And now I could move that whole fleet with whole army with my cavalry over here. And I can have that here. My navy just lost a big battle, so I'm not going to be getting that blockade back anytime soon. So now this 4 stack is still able to make progress on Athens because it's so short of a fort, but I have a lot more here. So we're going to take this province. We now have that province. Fantastic. We're going to go on here, and we can see the final kind of fort. The level 2 fort, which needs 6 men. So, on this page, if I just click it, then because I have 10,000, I would actually lose in infantry. I would consolidate my regiments so that I would actually lose 1 down to whatever this number is. So if I had 9,000, I would lose 2 down to 10. But if you hold Shift and then click it, then this one doesn't go away, it just goes to 0. This helps me to have that 1,000, helps units be ready for fighting, all that stuff. So I have that 7,000 there. I want to pull them off. I know I need 6. I'm going to keep that 1 extra like I talked about. We'll move this up here. And now you can see that this is red. I don't have enough infantry for the cavalry, so that costs me extra money. So if I wanted to worry about that, I might pull a couple of troops off here in order to help balance that back out, if I wanted to. Pull a couple troops off there. I have that 9. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and move it right on. Move him over here to Athens. And when I combine these armies, now we're golden. Okay. And so I will be right back once these sieges are done, and we'll complete the last little bit involved with war. Alright, so I now have fully occupied them, even though they have naval superiority and they're blockading a bunch of stuff. I still have 100% war score because I have taken all of their land. Navy is a nice thing to have, but it's not a horrific thing to worry about if you don't have it. They have sent me a peace offer. They've been doing this for a while. We've received an offer of peace from Byzantium. They're offering a thing. They've negotiated on their whole alliance. We negotiate for us. They would cede Constantinople, and they'd give us money and all of that. I don't want that. I want everything. So I'm going to decline. I could accept, but I'm going to decline. Instead, I'm going to just take everything. Now, I happened to have known, because I've played the Ottomans before, that was possible. But let's say it hadn't been possible. Just take these three, leave Athens, then Byzantium would be gone, but Athens would be free, they'd be independent, and Venice would probably take them in 5 seconds. So when you do this, you have some things that matter. Obviously, you have the war score over here. You can see how much diplomatic power it will cost for each thing. You also get prestige. You can go all the way up. If you hold shift and do this, then that moves all the way to 0 or all the way to the 25 war score. Also, there are in rivalry, but Wallachia just didn't have any rivals. Wow. So if Byzantium had still existed, I could end a rivalry that would be worth 5. I'm not going to do that. I don't want them to just be gone. Could obviously force them to do that stuff. I've talked about all of that stuff you can do. So here we see that we have aggressive expansion. I have between 3 and 87 aggressive expansion with 279 countries for taking this much land. It will cost me 381 administrative points to core the land. I have 603, so I'm fine. It also creates overextension, which you want that to be under 100, and it's total. So if I had taken any land from Wallachia, that would also be, added to the 52% if I had not yet finished getting that core. I'm going to take as much money as I can. At the 96%, I can't get, 4 more. I can? No. If I wanted, I could lower to 94 to get that 6 war score and get them to release their core on that and be gone completely. If you get too much aggressive expansion with other nations, they could form a coalition. This is probably the greatest mechanic in the game to help curtail you from going. So if anyone is over 50, then they might be eligible to join a coalition. You have to have 3 countries that are over 50 and don't have a truce with you. So in this case, Wallachia has a truce with me, and Byzantium would not exist. So there would be no eligible countries to join a coalition. But if I had had enough to where, say, Karaman and Kandar and Dokadir were able to join a coalition, then maybe one could form. But the main thing with coalitions is you just want to make sure there's not a big nation. Like in this case, there's no Hungary, there's no Austria, there's no Poland, there's no France, so we're perfectly fine, doesn't even matter. And you want to make sure there's not a ton of small nations, right? If everyone around me was party, joining together to fight me, that would be a problem. But, Wallachia wouldn't be that big of an issue. Even if they had like a Serbia and a Bosnia with them, wouldn't matter that much. So we're good. We're going to send that demand, and boom, now we have that land. You want to look over what you have gotten. You want to see if there's anything that needs fixing, like fort locations, things like that. I happen to know that when I take City of the World Desire, it will move my capital to Constantinople. Conquer Greece. Oh, nice. I got another one. Okay. I have a decision available that will move my capital to Constantinople, so I'm not going to delete that fort. But had I not, then that would have been like, oh, that's farmlands, I don't want that fort there. This is now grasslands, so I don't need that fort, right? I have a capital fort, I don't need a fort in grasslands. I can delete that fort. This is ready. I can delete this fort. And so now, if anyone wants to march here, I have this fort in my capital, but because it's a castle, it has there. If anyone marched into these three, they would have to go here before they went anywhere else, or they'd have to backtrack exactly where they went. If anyone marches in here, they have to go here, and they have to beat this fort before they could go anywhere else. Same here, there's a fort here. If anyone goes here, they have to come here. But I think if someone were here, they could, like if someone were in Corfu, they could come here, they could then go here, and they could then go here. It's a very weird mechanic, but you get the basic idea, right? If they're here, I can fight them in the mountains. I have that bonus. Now, when you take land, you get corruption. So I have to increase the amount I'm rooting out corruption in order to get that red mechanic to go away, but also in order to not gain corruption. Corruption is bad. We can worry about that in our economic deal, but you do have to hit that after you've taken the land. You're going to get this. Some of your provinces lack cores. So at cost, you can sort this by overextension. You can sort this by cost, but you want to click these costs. Now, I had a core on Constantinople, so that didn't cost me anything. Or maybe it was when I moved my capital there that got the core, so I didn't have to worry about that. But normally that would be there. So core time, it's going to be done by June 21st. It just happens in the background. In the meantime, you have some rebel problems, right? My national unrest goes up because I am overextended. My overextension is at 29%. That increases my rebellion tracker. The only way to fix that is to get the cores done. You can get national unrest down from having higher stability or reducing war exhaustion. You can reduce war exhaustion by 2 by spending diplomatic power. You can boost your stability by sending administrative power. But that's the basic gist. Once it gets done with the cores, it will tell you that this is now considered to be one of your core provinces, and your peasants will defend it with their lives, and it will be great. Also, I have grown, and so I could create 2 more infantry because I have added more development to my country. So that's the basic gist. You want to go to war for land, sometimes for money. You can get money from vassals. You have coring afterwards, and so now I would be looking, okay, where is my next thing? I'm going to try and conquer Serbia, or I might try and conquer Asia Minor. So that's kind of, where is my next thing to go? Wallachia had 52, Moldavia has 52, but they are a vassal of Poland, so they don't count. Serbia has 47, Venice has 45, Naples has 37. I probably don't want to go up here because they're angry at me. So probably I want to go down here because Caravan only had 12. They didn't care because the conquest was over here and it was a different religion. So probably my next thing would be, I'm going to consolidate Asia Minor. I'm going to go after Karaman. I'm going to go after Kandar. But that's kind of the next thing, so I would then set that up. If I needed to get a claim, I would build a spy network. I'd move my armies down there. It'll work. But this has been far enough for this episode, so we will talk next time about unrest. We'll talk about rebels. We'll talk about all of that stuff and dealing with your country. So I've been Thic Borders, and I hope to see you in the next part. On your left, you'll see my most recent upload. On the right is this playlist, and in the middle is a button to subscribe. If you liked what you had, please like this video and subscribe.